What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sr7 here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for March 20th, 2020's Vendor Reset. So let's get right into this and see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, we're going to head over to Camp Hudson. Here, the weapons vendor has an M700 Carbine with a gear score of 279. It has 167% headshot damage, and the talents we got on this is Vicious, Prepared, and Elevated. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the base operations. Here, the Dark Zone gear vendor has a operator pack with the talent Inventive on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 1,295. Its roll for firearms 1,179, and the attributes this has is skill power and burn resistance. And also, I mentioned this because I'm here. We got a prototype performance mod with 4% mobile cover damage resilience. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the gear vendor here has a prototype firearms mod with 200 firearms and 3% damage to elites. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the advanced weaponry vendor, and we got a Navy MP5N with a gear score of 264. It has 18.50% crit hit chance, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Brutal, and Responsive. Also here we got a Lova C with a gear score of 280. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is Intense, Focused, and Vicious. Also here we got a Super 90 with a gear score of 274. It has 332% stagger, and the talents we got here is Deadly, Capable, and Vicious. Also here we got a Military Scar H with a gear score of 280. It has 148% headshot damage, and the talents we got here is Competent, Ferocious, and Predatory. Also here we got an extended magazine with 117.50% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 5.40% rate of fire. And also here we got a Tyrant Suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 2.50% stability, and 2% accuracy. And also here we got a VX1 scope with 17% headshot damage, 2% accuracy, and 4% crit hit damage. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we got a Liberator with a gear score of 262. It has 20% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Adept, and Accurate. Also here we got an M249B with a gear score of 264. It has 22% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Deadly, Capable, and Prepared. Also here we got a tactical mask with the talent Tenacious on there. It has a gear score of 271. The armor is 896. Its roll for electronics 1,222. And the attributes this has is crit hit chance and burn resistance. Also here we got an operator pack with the talent Specialized on there. It has a gear score of 278. The armor is 1,325. Its roll for firearms 1,199. And the attributes this has is crit hit damage and burn resistance. Also here we got some operator gloves with the talent Savaged on there. The roll is not really that good on it, but I figured I'd mention it. They have a gear score of 270. The armor is 935. Its roll for firearms 1,193. And the attributes it has is skill haste, health on kill, and pistol damage. Also here we got an Sr7 Suppressor with 18% crit hit damage, 5.50% headshot damage, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and I decided to come take a look and see what they got in here, if it's something that I don't have. And here we got some electronic gloves blueprint, and then also here we got some firearm gloves here. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Kerman Station. Here the weapons vendor has a classic M44 Carbine with a gear score of 280. It has 160% headshot damage, and the talents this has is Fierce, Intense, and Brutal. And then also here we got a VX1 scope with 18% headshot damage, 2% accuracy, and 3% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Camp Clinton. Here the special blueprints vendor has a surplus SVD blueprint. If you want to check this out here, you got it here if you're trying to get this type of sniper rifle. And also here you got an electronics knee pad blueprint as well. And also here we got an MK4 M5A2 scope ×15 blueprint as well. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Clinton, and here we got a Cassidy with a gear score of 284. It has 341% stagger, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Commanding, and Boomstick. Also here we got a Pecan. If you like to run this weapon, it has a gear score of 281. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Deadly, and Pecan. Also here we got a Historian with a gear score of 279. It has 156% headshot damage. The talents this has is Unforgiving, Commanding, and Historian repeats. Also here we got a converted SMG9. If you like to run this weapon, it has a gear score of 267. It has 19% crit hit chance, and the talent list has a sustained, unforgiving, and deadly. Also here we got a Scar L with a gear score of 268. It has 19% enemy armor damage, and the talent list has is unforgiving, brutal, and determined. Also here we got an Operator Mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 918. Its roll for electronics 1213, and the attributes it has is enemy armor damage and blind death resistance. Also here we got an operator pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 1157. Its roll for electronics 1248, and the attributes it has is health and disrupt resistance. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 7% seeker mine explosion radius. Also here we got a heavy magazine spring with 12% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 9.90% rate of fire. And also here we got a 5.52 hollow sight TAM with 7% crit hit chance, 6% headshot damage, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Southpaw. Here the gear vendor has a Spec Ops pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 272. The armor is 1202. Its roll for electronics 1232, and the attributes it has is skill power and ammo capacity. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Grindhouse. Here the weapons vendor has a large suppressor FDE with 19% crit hit damage, 3% crit hit chance, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 31st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has some Gunslinger Gloves with the talent Savaged on there. They have a gear score of 264. The armor is 865. Its roll for stamina 1147, and the attributes it has is crit hit damage, assault rifle damage, and crit hit chance. And also here we got a C79 scope with 17% crit hit damage, 5.50% headshot damage, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a converted USC with a gear score of 262. It has 19% crit hit chance, and the talents it has is responsive, ferocious, and ambusher. Also here we got a Spec Ops Mass with the talent refreshed on there. This one has a gear score of 264. The armor is 901. Its roll for firearms 1189, and the attributes this has is enemy armor damage and increased kill XP. And also here we got a prototype electronics mod with 267 electronics and 3,298 health. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator pack with a talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 1153. Its roll for stamina 1250. And the attributes we got here is crit hit damage and disrupt resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 53rd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 252 firearms and 1% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, you're going to head over to East 61st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a heavy magazine spring with 4.50% reload speed, 11% magazine size, and 10.10% rate of fire. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 58th Street checkpoint. Here we got a tactical vest with the talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 276. The armor is 1985. Its roll for firearms 1202. And the attributes it has is skill haste and exotic damage resilience and increased kill XP. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a classic M60 with a gear score of 271. It has 22% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Deadly, and Brutal. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 53rd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Navy MP5N with a gear score of 270. It has 20% crit hit chance, and the talents this one has is Dominant, Fierce, and Unforgiving. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Lova C with a gear score of 278. It has 18% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is Competent, Destructive, and Fierce. And also here we got a Tyrant Suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 2% accuracy, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Infantry MG5 with a gear score of 283. It has 22% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Destructive, Brutal, and Competent. Also here we got an operator pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 268. The armor is 1167. Its roll for stamina 1176, and the attributes we got here is crit hit damage and bleed resistance. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4.50% ballistic shield damage resilience. And then also here we got a rugged mini reflex sight with 7.50% crit hit chance, 5.50% headshot damage, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 263. The armor is 931. Its roll for stamina 1125. And the attributes we got exotic damage resilience and increased kill XP. And then also here we got Omega Rifle Suppressor tan with 17.50% headshot damage, 4.50% optimal range, and 2.50% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 34th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical pack with the talent inventive on there. It has a gear score of 265. The armor is 1216. Its roll for stamina 1136. And the attributes it got is health and burn resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the 5th Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 275. The armor is 908. Its roll for stamina 1225. And the attributes we got here is health on kill and disorient resistance. Also here we got a prototype stamina mod with 243 stamina and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ2 safe room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a tactical mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 275. The armor is 933. Its roll for firearms 1173. And the attributes we got here is health on kill and increased kill XP. Also here we got a Spec Ops pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 270. The armor is 1229. Its roll for stamina 1157. And the attributes this has is health and bleed resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ3 safe room. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a tactical SA58. If you like to run this weapon, this one has a gear score of 276. It has 19% enemy armor damage. And the talents it has is destructive, fierce, and ferocious. Also here we got a custom M870 MCS with a gear score of 275. It has 300% stagger. And the talents it has is brutal, adept, and dominant. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ4 safe room. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 254 stamina and 1% crit hit chance. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% seeker mine damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ5 safe room. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a heavy magazine spring with 4.50% reload speed, 4% crit hit damage, and 11% rate of fire. Also here we got Omega Rifle Suppressor tan with 18.50% headshot damage, 2% accuracy, and 2.50% stability. Also here we got a small grip red with 17% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ8 safe room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a operator mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 273. The armor is 918. Its roll for stamina 1250. And the attributes we have here is crit hit chance and burn resistance. Also here we got a tactical vest with the talent vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 1808. Its roll for firearms 1176. And the attributes it has is skill haste, health on kill, and ammo capacity. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ9 safe room. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a Sr7 Suppressor with 19% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 5.50% headshot damage. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for March 20th, 2020's vendor reset. I hope everybody who tuned into it found them something that they needed. I appreciate y'all for smashing them like buttons and subbing to the channel. That's good looking out. Thank you for that support so much. And I will see y'all with the next one, everybody. Take care. Peace.